Goeiedag, good day, fellow South Africans, citizens of the world, and members of the G20. Now, it's come to my attention that one Cyril Ramaphosa, who we call on this Loving Life channel Hippo Eyes, is going to the G20 to try and appeal for investors to go invest in his gangster state. And if you think I'm being a bit harsh, let me give you some facts and you can go and check this out for yourself. Let's start with the president. He's facing charges of 400 million rand, which is the equivalent of about $35 million in money laundering. He's facing that right now as I speak to you. His deputy, David Mabuza, the deputy president of the ANC, is a well-known he got hitmen to go and take out his opponents, his political opponents. Kill them. Yeah, that's right. He used to go and shoot them. And he paid them money. And he's hugely involved in corruption. Take the Secretary General of the ANC, Ace Magashule. He's in the Zuma camp, which is fracturing the ANC. They're like two different halves at the moment. And it looks like Ace Magashule's side is going to unseat President Ramaphosa. That's what it looks like, especially after this money laundering charge comes out, which has been pushed by the public protector, who's in the camp of Ace Magashule. Now, what about Ace Magashule? Is he squeaky clean? Oh no. Oh no. There's actually a book which you can go and buy on the internet by Peter Myburgh. That's Pieter space Myburgh, Peter Myburgh, and the book is called Gangster State. And it shows that the Secretary General of the ANC is so deeply involved in corruption, it's quite extraordinary. And I could keep on going on and on and on and on and on. The president before Ramaphosa, Jacob Zuma, huge amount of corruption. It was under him that we had the state capture with the Guptas, a family from India, who came in and literally cleaned out tens of billions of rands out of South Africa's economy. Just like that. With the blessing of the Zuma government, because they were getting kickbacks on the side. This is the reality of South Africa. Nothing is changing. Let's look at the actual situation in the country when it comes to the Rainbow Nation. You've heard of that word with Mandela, where he says, "We have a Rainbow Nation. We are all one people." Well, that flew out of the window not soon after 1994. And it's getting worse. And there's so much more I could tell you guys who are from the G20. So much more. But let me just tell you this. There's an affirmative action policy which is completely out of kilter with anywhere else in the world. Normally, affirmative action is to try and offer support to a minority group. Okay? Now, the minority group in South Africa, with about 5% of the population, are the white population. By far, the huge majority is the Bantu or Nguni, the Zulus, the Xhosa, all these different tribes. They are the majority of South Africans. Because of something that happened over 25 years ago now, which we're talking about apartheid when South Africa became independent, democracy in 1994, and the ANC have been in power ever since. What happened is that the actual policies that have been brought in by the ANC have been against the minority group, the whites. There's this thing called BEE, and you can go and Google it. It's called Black Equality Empowerment. And what it in effect means, it's a nice little term, but behind it is a very, very nasty, racist situation. With BEE, it's almost impossible for a minority group, whether you are white, Indian, or coloured, to become employed in South Africa. Because just about 100% of any company that's going to get BEE status, which means they can go and do business with government bodies and all these different other state-owned enterprises and major corporations, they have to fit in with BEE. They actually have to meet the criteria, which, as I say, is almost 100% Bantu and Nguni employment, regardless of their skills. And this has been a huge issue in South Africa. You don't have to go far looking up what a state of chaos the municipalities are in. The amount of corruption that's going on in South Africa. Forget about expropriation of land without compensation. I mean, that's like small bickies. Although it's important because it takes away your secure investment. They can change the rules like that. You invest here, expropriate it, and you lost everything you put into the country. But let's get back to BEE, okay? Black Equality Empowerment. Now, it has become so invasive. I put up a video earlier today. I couldn't believe it myself. But if you have a business in South Africa that provides donations to a charity which actually supports minority groups, and I'm not just talking whites, I'm talking about Indians, coloureds, who are the original, but descendants of the original inhabitants of South Africa, the Bantu and Nguni weren't. Regardless of what they say, again, Google it, look at the history of South Africa, and you'll see the Khoisan were the original inhabitants of South Africa. What these Bantu and Nguni are doing is they are rewriting history through the parliament, through the ANC. They're changing the constitution, like making it so that they can expropriate land without compensation. They are bending the rules to suit their own agenda. And they are destroying the country. They're absolutely destroying the country. But let me get back to BEE. 25% of white South Africans today are living in abject poverty because they cannot get employment because of this racist policy called BEE. There's an amendment right now before the Parliament which says that if you are a business that is providing donations to a charity which is actually supporting a minority group, and remember that's not just whites, that's coloureds and Indians and other minority groups, and not 100% black or Nguni people, i.e. the ruling class and the ANC, you are going to be penalised. So they're now actually bringing BEE into donations to support your favourite charity. They're actually now cherry picking on which charity you should support. And if it's not 100% Bantu and Nguni people who are in distress, you are in trouble. This is the reality of South Africa. And if you don't believe me, do your own research, G20. You go and check it out. This is absolute bullshit. And on top of that, let's look at state-owned enterprises. Eskom is effed. It's been fucking-moneyed. He is the current CEO, although he's just about to resign. He has totally screwed that up. And, you know, you've got load shedding. You've got a huge amount of debt there. You take South African Airways. It's bankrupt. You know that airline that was so productive and so profitable back in the 1980s? It is bankrupt. And there's one common denominator across all these state-owned enterprises. You've got incompetent people being put in to run them. They are corrupt, and it's corruption all the way through the ranks, and it includes every level of government on the ANC, from the friggin' state president. You know, Cyril Ramaphosa, we call him Hippo Eyes here on this channel. Cyril Ramaphosa, he is corrupt. He is facing money laundering charges right now. If you meet Cyril Ramaphosa, ask him about the money laundering charges he is facing right now in South Africa, because they are all in the same basket. They are all on the take. You put 1 cent in this country, they're going to rip it out of your hands, believe me, before it's even hit the ground running. You have no idea how corrupt this country is. It is a complete and utter pariah. For them, just on that BE thing with donations to charities, how they're now making it a bad thing, a negative thing. You get derogatory points, you get demoted if you try and help minority groups in South Africa, as a donation and a charity. This is how incredibly toxic this country has become. But of course, the ANC can never be racist, can they? No, they can't be racist. They're beyond that. They're the ones who were oppressed under apartheid, and they will bring that up at every single turn, even though that was over 25 years ago. And the oppressed people in South Africa today, believe me, are the minority groups, which are the whites, the coloureds, the Indians, and other groups of people who are not Bantu or Nguni, because they're the ones who cannot get employment. They're the ones who have just been driven to the ground. It is a totally crazy environment in South Africa. I know you haven't been told this. I know, because the mainstream media are complicit. And all I'm saying to you is just take a few of the facts that I've given you in this video, go and Google or go to YouTube, do your own research, your own due diligence, and you will see what I'm saying is correct. This whole government in South Africa is a pariah. It is corrupt. They're all on the take. They've destroyed all the state-owned enterprises, which are incredibly profitable. When I lived in South Africa, and I left South Africa in 1986, and I left when it was under apartheid, I never voted because I always had a British passport, so I could never vote. And I left in 1986 because I was appalled by what was going on under apartheid. But what I'm seeing now in modern South Africa makes apartheid look like a walk in the park. And you know what? The rest of the world is looking the other way, as if it's all okay. It's not okay. I was speaking to a friend of mine who's a farmer in Bultfontein just a week ago. His neighbor's wife committed suicide by hanging herself. And this is happening all over South Africa. And yes, it's a white lady who committed suicide. And what's happening is that the white population has been totally starved. They're the major taxpayers, but they've been totally starved of any kind of support. You take the farmers in South Africa. You take the white farmers in South Africa. They were the breadbasket. They had the commercial farms. They were providing all the food. They're all now closing up shop and going overseas when they can. And in areas like the northwestern Free State and Northern Cape, where there are these incredible droughts they've had for 6 years, and the government has recognized those droughts. This is the ANC government, by proclaiming them disaster areas, but they haven't provided 1 cent in financial support. And as a result, those farmers who've been living on those farms for generations, and they were not stolen from the Bantu people. When these white farmers moved into those areas, the Bantu and Nguni people were east of Lesotho. You go and look at a map, and you have a look where the northwestern Free State is, you can see they're totally different areas of South Africa. Now they're suggesting that those farmers stole their lands from them and pushed them off their lands, which is a complete artificial rewriting of history. But why I'm talking about this is because what's happened is that these farmers who are in a desperate state because they've had no ability to produce crops and actually keep going financially, they're now being wound up by the banks in South Africa, which again, because of BEE, are now being run by, guess what? The black population. So they have absolutely no sympathy and provide no help at all to these white farmers. They are being systematically destroyed. It is absolutely revolting, absolutely shocking. And on top of that, the government, even though it's a disaster area, have not provided 1 cent in support. And you know what they're doing? They're throwing billions of rands to black farmers who they're going to empower, and they're going to give them all the money they want to go and build a farm. And 99% of farms that have actually been taken away from the whites, and they've been compensated in the past and been handed over to black farmers, those farmers have fallen into complete disrepair. And I have ample evidence of that. And again, you can Google this and you can see it for yourself. South Africa is a complete trash can. Look at the municipalities. Look at Durban, the city of Durban. You know that beautiful city which had that beautiful beach? The city now is full of feces and urine because the public toilets don't work. And I put a video up about this a few days ago. This is the reality of South Africa. Tourism is dying in South Africa. It's dead. The N2 highway, which is a major freeway between the Cape Town International Airport to the city of Cape Town, it's a death trap. They're putting burning tires in the middle of the road. Don't believe me? Google it. You'll see. This is happening right now in South Africa. But you won't hear this from Cyril Ramaphosa. No. You know why? Ramaphosa was the one who said, despite the fact that there are thousands of white farmers who've been killed in farm attacks since 1994. I'm talking thousands of farmers. He's the one who said, in response to Trump making a query about this, there are no white farmers being killed in South Africa, and we are not going to be taking their land away. This was only last year. You have to understand that Cyril Ramaphosa talks with a forked tongue. Depending on who he's speaking to, he will make the narrative suit the occasion. But he has his own agenda. In 1993, and I'll put my email address directly down below, and you can ask for a copy of the document, and I will send it to you. This document was actually authored by Cyril Ramaphosa pre-1994, where he talks about boiling the white frogs slowly. Yeah. And he sets out how they're going to do it. And that's exactly what the government of South Africa is doing right now. And as I say, the rest of the world is looking the other way as if it's not happening. The whites are facing extreme persecution. Extreme persecution. It's absolutely horrific. It is no different to what happened in Germany in the late 1930s, early 1940s to other groups of people. It is exactly the same. And back then, the world looked the other way. They're doing exactly the same now. And that's why this channel, the Loving Life channel, advocates so strongly to try and let the world know what is actually going on. And if you're in the G20, you need to wake up and realize that this president of South Africa is a snake in the grass. He is just creaming it. He is now worth billions of rands. Yep, he's one of the wealthiest men in South Africa. He has just been sitting on the coattails of all these racist policies like BBBEE, where companies to operate in South Africa have to have a well-connected politician or bureaucrat amongst their shareholders, amounting to about 50%, so that they can actually operate. And guess where Ramaphosa has made his billions? Yep, you got it right in one. From BBBEE, because he has just signed on the dotted line and suddenly got a 50% share in a company worth billions of rand. It's called a transfer of assets, and that's happening in South Africa right now. So if you think you're investing in South Africa, prepare to lose everything you put in the country. It is a complete basket case. Okay, that's my rant for the day. As I said to anyone from the G20 who's watching this, please just do your own research on Google. Make a few notes from what I've said here. Go on Google and you'll see everything I said is right on the money. South Africa is a gangster state. It is disgusting. There should be sanctions against the country until they lift these horrific, racist affirmative action policies like BEE, which are totally destroying the minority groups. And the coloreds, the Indians, the whites would all agree with me that they are being targeted by this group of people who came in from the north. They're not originally from South Africa, they're up from the Congo area. And not long before the whites came into South Africa through Cape Town, they've settled into KwaZulu-Natal. They are invaders, but they're now trying to suggest that they're the innocent party who was just attacked and destroyed by, the whites. It is complete crap. It is complete crap. And yet, because the mainstream media are such fake news, the truth is not getting out there. All right, guys, I'm going to say no more. I've had my bit of a rant. Please remember to subscribe to be kept informed. Ring the bell for updates and have a great day. And don't forget, next weekend, we are going to have a huge food delivery to the white squatter camps in the Gauteng area. Huge, 6 tons of food we're going to be distributing. And I will be covering that live on this main channel on the 6th and 7th of July. We've got a huge team of people who are behind there supporting us. We're very excited. This is now a biannual event. We're hoping to make it even more regular because, we need to start supporting our own because this South African government has failed completely. Okay, guys, take care. And I hope to see you this weekend. Next weekend. Bye for now.